This is Lena making Bespoke Craft Designs. I'm coming back with the second part to the vellum. I've posted the first part, and it's the faux vellum that I made, that I said that was really easy and cheap to make. Some of the things didn't turn out. I tried all sorts of different papers. Now, although this isn't, it is a bit see-through, and it's a lot different to what it was originally. What I really like about this is the texture and the feel, and it has made the paper so much stronger, really strong. And the same goes for, I said I'd done some in some book page. Well, it's hard to show on the screen because you won't be able to see. It's definitely changed the paper. This was just a mop-up piece, and I've cut a butterfly out there just to see what it's like. But this is so strong. You could use this just on its own as one piece of paper to then put something over the top of it. You wouldn't need to fold the edge in or anything because it's weak. It has made it so strong. So I love the texture and I love the look of it. But I wouldn't say it's anywhere near vellum. It was just, as I was mopping up the colour off the others, I just saw how it changed it and thought I'd try it. But although it changes it and it makes it really quite lovely, I wouldn't class it as anywhere near vellum. It's nothing like vellum. So what I wanted to show you for a start, I did this sheet and stamped the images on, and then there's several ways you could use it. You could use it as a whole sheet and cut it up into something as a whole sheet, or you could cut the individual little bits out. I've just used a few random stamps because my intention is to cut them out. But what I was going to show you first was the one. So this here was a sheet of like a lace top, and it's got lace flowers on it. So literally what I've done is cut the flower shapes out, left out the bits of lace in between and cut out the flowers. And then the other pieces that I have the plain white vellum that I've done. I'm saying vellum, but you know what I mean. This, see where I've cut from it, the plain white one, and I've got the one with the vintage letter on. So that's what I was going to start with today. I'm just going to move them out that way. And what I've done is I've made this with the vellum, and then I have actually on this one, I have used a bit of that music paper under there. Said I wasn't going to use it on this one, but I have cut a bit off to try that. Then I've done the vintage one, vintage letter, and then I've done a plain one underneath. Now I like them all exactly on top of each other because of the shape of the flower. If all the leaves were exactly the same, I'd probably stagger them so you got a better flower look. So if you was making your own flower and you was making all the leaves exactly the same, you could do that depending on what shape, if you was hand drawing them. And I really like that, and that will make a nice sort of 3D embellishment. So I'm just showing you how I've done them. I've got several sorts of brads that I've collected. I've got some of these are the only ones I've got of these sort. I've got some of these, and I've used one of these in this one. It does tend to want to spin round. If it does, and that's fair enough, but I do like it, at its original, all in the same shape. I've put one of the pink ones out of this set because my others, I have got some other colours somewhere and I can't find them, but these are just the little silvery ones. I've got some at the moment that I'm experimenting with, so I'll show you next time what I've done with them. They're still wet at the moment, so I can't show you, and see how they come out. So all I've done is put a hole in the middle. I use either the bradawl thing, the little pokey tool, or I use one of these. And if you've not seen one of these, I've got a bit of, I don't know, can you see me there? Yeah. So you hold the top of it and you just press down, and it does it. I mean, I've got it too far away from me, so I can't get it to do it very well. But look how quick it does hold. That's what I've done there. And it doesn't, I mean, they do spin like you saw with that other flower, but it's easier for me to hold it to be able to cut round it, because you need to now keep hold of it quite firm. So what I've done is I've just put the flower on top of the chosen little bits of vellum. Here I've done 2 of the letters and 1 plain one, and just cut a square the outside of the flower. And then I'm just going to, and then I've pinned them all together with the brad. And oh, you see, I've moved that one. So you have to really just keep the pressure down. That's why I like the brad, because it does help. Because as I'm twisting around with my, they're really lovely. I really like those. And then you can just embellish whatever with them, really. And then these ones here, oh, that's another one I did with the let me see if I can find a little template for that. What I did with this one, this was a rubber stamp, and I couldn't find the rubber stamp, and I liked that flower, but I found the casing that it was in. You know how it's in some acetate that covers the stamp. I've just cut out the actual acetate picture, because this shows where the stamp should go, and I've just cut that out, and I've just literally used that as a template to do that one there, and then I've drawn in all the lines with and this works perfectly on this, you know, even though it's had grease on it. It's one of these fine line. It's a 0.3 that I used, one of these that I used. Yeah, look, 0.3. I use one of those, and it works really well. And I've just put the lines back in. So I've got now 3 pieces there. You can either have 3 and the one with the feather on. I've just got 2 there and the one with the feather on. I think I'll use, I'm going to cut that down because that's a funny shape anyway, so I'm cut that big piece off, and I know that's going to cover that. Check. And you know, you can get all these ready and then sit at night and fussy cut them out, won't on it? And then the way I did it, if I is I've just tried to go through all the papers together. It's just my way, like that. And then all I do is, I mean, this is a really long pin, this one, because it was the only one I could get. I hold the top of the pin and my 2 fingers underneath just to keep it as steady as I can. And then I cut down as much of the paper as I can first. I'm going to come round like that actually and hold it just at the side of the pin and the, just while I'm cutting it. I cut as much of the excess off as I can. You're always going to get a bit of excess, like that, so you're not struggling with all the excess. And then I'm literally just going to go around now and cut it, because this has got some really fine pieces on it, and when you're moving it, I don't want it to move and me to lose it. So I'm actually finding, just going, because I've got more layers here, I didn't have as many layers when I put it in my original one, and it was spinning a bit, so I had to hold the pin, but I'm not having to hold the actual pin, I'm just holding the material, and that's just keeping them all together, because I don't want to use glue. You could use glue if you don't mind gluing them down. I mean, it's not like when I was doing the cards and I glued it and it looked awful. It was when I first started card making, and it was, I'd done some gluing and it had made a right mess of the vellum, and I had to think of an alternative way. Like I say, I was very naive then, very new to it, and didn't really know, just liked the look of it and thought I wanted to try and use the vellum. which I still really love vellum. So it does work quite well, and it doesn't sort of spin all over doing it like this with this pin. It's really quite good as long as you hold it as well. And I mean, I am not the best fussy cutter at all, and this is quite slippery, so it does move, so that's why I'm saying do it with a pin, and because you've got a lot of layers. So, and then look, they all fall off when you, so that is really quite cute, quite like that. Now I'm obviously not going to leave that pin in there. I've obviously got to find a way to stick them all together. Now obviously the bottom layer you can glue down to whatever you're going to put it on, but the top layer I didn't want to glue particularly, so what my intention to do is to just put a little sew in with some black cotton in that middle where it's already coloured black, and I thought that would look quite cute. So I'm going to do that in a minute, and when I've threaded my needle I'll get back to you. So I'm back. I've threaded my cotton, and I have used 3 strands, and I've just gone through the hole that the pin made, and all I'm going to do is just do a few little stitches. Now it's quite thick, as I said, because there is 4 layers. So I'm just going to, and then when I do the feather I'm going to stick it down with Fabri-Tac. It's not very good with the glue stick. I have tried that and it does stick, but not as well, so it needs something like Fabri-Tac, something a little bit stronger. So all I've done with this one at the moment, I've just put a 1 stitch in there. And you can, if you're a sewer and you like sewing, you can keep going and colour the whole middle in, the black bit in. I'm just going to do a few stitches just to show you how it holds it, and then I can decide after whether I want to do. These are just different ways of holding them. I'd say you could put a brad in if you wanted to put a brad in. I think what I'm going to do is do that whole bit. I'm going to do it with sew it, and then that'll hold that together like that. So that's one that I'm going to do after. So this one here, I've just put my pin in again, and this is the feather. But what I've decided to do with this, I like sewing them, so I might sew through that the spine of the feather, but just for the camera and just to show you what I'm going to do, I'm going to try this one with Fabri-Tac and see what it does. So I've got 3 layers, and I am going to, because of course you could sew on the sewing machine through the middle of this or the middle of the bee, or you could hand sew it. You can use the brad, and I'm just going to try it with some Fabri-Tac and see if it shows too much. So I'm just going to get these straight because I'm going to cut it. And I'm just going to leave that a minute to dry. Now I can see where that Fabri-Tac is, which you know that's what happens. That does happen. Just 1 minute, I've got it coming off with glue. And I don't like it. I don't like the fact that you can see it, but that's maybe because it's white. It's made like a big blodge. Don't know, just around this bit here. It's made like a big blodge, and I don't like that. Now, this one I've done with the butterfly, I'd got those cut out, but just while I was off camera, I've cut 2 other bits, and rather than use the pin, I have Fabri-Tac'd that middle bit down, because I thought, well, if it shows on this, I can put some bling or something on it. And because this is coffee dyed, it hasn't shown through, but also this has been stamped, so it's got the black down the middle. So if you're doing something like that, it doesn't show. And that one's perfectly okay to do on Fabri-Tac, and it looks it looks superb. I love them. I just think they're so pretty, these 3D ones. But on this feather, because it's white, it has really shown. So you could get just that black pen that I said and colour the spine in black. Or I think I'm going to sew down it off camera. I'm going to sew down it. But it's held it, so I don't need the pin now. Take the pin out. And the pinhole isn't apparent. You can't see the pinhole. So it's easier for me to just hold it now and just sort of cut. I'm obviously not going to go in between all those feathers, but I picked the easiest one to do on camera because I'm not brilliant at it. I've not got the patience. Sometimes I sit forever doing it, but I've got to be in the right frame of mind. If I know I'm desperate for them, I never want to do them. What you've got to think about as well with using Fabri-Tac, obviously I don't want the ends to be all stuck down. I don't want it all glued down. So you want something that sort of holds it but leaves all the ends free, because that's the whole point of having it 3D. So like with this one, it is still quite 3D, but obviously when you fold it up, what I don't want to do is, because it's squished a bit, some of the glue has gone right to the end, so it's not going to be as 3D with the glue. So me personally, I don't like using the Fabri-Tac on it. If it was a bigger piece and you could just hold the middle, like on the butterfly, it's fine. Because there's still a lot to flap loose, then that's fine to use Fabri-Tac down the middle. This one, you can actually see a mark there, which I'm not keen on. I think what I shall do with this is leave it as it is. It will come in, I'll use it on something, but I'm not so keen on that. I do like the idea of, like with the tiny one, doing it with the sewing. I think that's a really good idea. Then I've got some of these that are just coffee dyed papers, and I had some stamped images on them that didn't take very well. And as you can see, they haven't taken very well at all, but they've got bits of pink on and bits of coffee dyed. That one had some stenciling on with some pink, so I've just highlighted the pink stenciling with this pen again, with the 0.3. I've just gone round and highlighted them areas to make it look, because the other side is like that and it didn't take very well at all. So you could use that because it looks all right, because it's got some vintage on it. So I quite like that side as well, but I also like that side. So what I thought I would look at, if I can find it, I was just going to have a look at another way of using the vellum. Using these pieces of coffee dyed and actually putting a piece of white vellum over the top like that, and cutting round that, and then it just dims the image a little bit, and I actually quite like that. So I'm just going to quickly do this. And on this one, I'm going to glue it down the middle, because I'm going to put a little bit of bling on this, because I think that'll hold it, and it'll be another way of holding it. So I'm going to use some bling on this. So I'm just going to use a pin again. Use my pin just to hold it. And if I can noise again, it's my dog laid near me. He's ready for his I'll have to say the word exercise. I can't say the word I mean, because if I do he'll jump up and that'll be it. I won't be able to carry on. He's ready for his exercise, as am I. We've got quiz night again tonight 'cause it's Saturday evening, and we have a quiz on a Saturday evening with my daughter's in-laws to be, and it's our turn to do the quiz questions this week, so I'm not sure how well that's going to go, but we're old-fashioned and we write everything down and research them and then write them down. My daughter just did them straight off the phone, and the week that George's family did them, they did them from a board game. So we've all done it slightly different to get different questions, but we're a bit old-fashioned, we do everything old-fashioned. So I'm just going to, as I'm doing this, I'm just going to put one of these together just to show you. So if I was to use that ordinary coffee dyed paper there and just put the one that's already inked up as well, that's another image you could do. So it isn't plain underneath, but I actually like the plain ones better underneath. I would use that as my top layer and use different papers underneath. But I do like the idea of putting the clear and doing it. But I really do like this. I like this with that on. So I'm just going to glue this down. Take my pin out now. I've cut it. And I'm just going to glue this middle. And obviously this is going to show, because it's going to show straight through the white. But it's good to see the different ways of putting them down. And to secure that, I'm having to squeeze it a little bit. I'm having to squeeze it a bit, and yeah, it is showing. And I wouldn't want that to show. So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that body in the middle is all secure. I'm just bending the wings up a bit. Make sure that body. Now, with me, you'll realise I like lace and I like beaded material, but I'm not one for adding a lot of bling on. I'm not a real blingy person. I've had this years and I've not really used it much. A little bit in cards, but I've not used it in journals as such, and I'm trying to make myself use it because I always see other people's and think how lovely they look, and then I think, oh, I don't think I want that on mine. But I thought, well, I'm going to use it today because it's another way of hiding that vellum, that glue, and I do quite like it. It looks all right. Looks quite pretty, actually. Looks really pretty. And I haven't done 2 layers on this one. You could have done 3. Could have done 3. Could have put one underneath as well. But I just think that looks superb. How the wings stand up. Put a little bit there. Let me put that in my pocket. So I'm just going to glue this one down. Well, this was supposed to be just a really quick video. And then I was going to come back to you with what I'd used them on. But I don't think it's turned out to be that short a video, but we'll see. So I'm just pressing it down just to make sure the hold. And that just looks superb. I really like that one. So you've got the vellum looking, but you can see the underneath as well, and you can see it through the top, and it looks really pretty. So that's that one. So we've done that one today. We've done one of those ones today. That one I spoke about, that isn't actually, it's out of a book and it's made a lovely texture and it's lovely. You could still use that and put some vellum behind it. So I am going to do that off camera and show you what it looks like, because I really like that too. I've done the bumblebee with all the layers. I'm just separating the layers a little bit because it's still got my needle in. Oh, I've blown that and blown everything all over. Oh dear. That maybe wasn't such a good idea, Lena. Oh goodness me. But that looks really cute as well with all the layers. But I'm just so in the middle of that one, and then I'll show you what that looks like if I can rescue all the other bits that I've just blown all over. Oh dear. And that was the one I showed you first that I'd already done off camera that has started to twist. But if you want them all to stay the same, just put a little bit of Fabri-Tac on the underneath ones and leave the top one to spin a little bit. But you might like it like that. I just prefer them all on top of each other on those shapes. And that one I haven't cut out yet. And I'll be back with you shortly. Hi, I'm back with the last bit of this. I was just going to sew my bee, and I have. So that little bit there is sewn, and I've just literally gone over and over and over and over and sewn it. It says no glue. Oops, can't get in the can't see it. No glue or anything on that. It's just sewn, and then I'll show you how I've got the edges to stand up like that. You can stand them up as much as you want or as little as you want. It also depends how many layers you've got. That is quite cute. So I haven't done another bee, but what I've done is I've done the same with, I'll show you what I've done. It's just the same thing with all of them. It's the flowers. I'm going to just put that on there because I've got a little bit of light. I'm going to cover that up. So all I've done, this one that I did yesterday, I got all the layers just flat, and then I've actually cut down each one of the petals, so then you can curl them round something really thin. I've got one of these pokey tools, that's what I call it, pokey tool. I think it's actually for you know, paper quilling, where you curl your paper, so it's obviously that's what it's doing with this as well. And all you do is do this to each layer, as much or as little as you want. It just separates the 3 layers, and also it stops them sticking and it gives them a bit of dimension. You don't have to have them really stuck up if you don't want to. I've cut them all at the same time to cut them between the petals, and then you can just turn the petals up, and that way you get the 3D effect. You know, when you press it with your hands. I mean, obviously when you're shutting your journal cover, unless it's on the front, they're going to flatten a little bit, but they will come back up again, and they just look really cute. I like them like that. And that's the same with the bee. I also did this feather yesterday, and I wasn't really impressed with this feather because I did try the glue on this. It's actually dried, and you can't actually see the mark on there now because the ink's covering it. But because I did it with glue and the glue squished out, it isn't as 3D all the way up. Now it is at the end there. It's very secure in the middle, and then there you've got the 3 layers again. So it looks quite wispy, and it does look quite effective. I do quite like that. I'm just having to take my cardigan off. I've been really cold today. Now I've come in my little room and it's very small in here, and it's got warm all of a sudden. So what I was just going to do, I've done the same with this one. I've cut them and started to curl them, so I don't need to do any more with that one. So this is one just how I did it yesterday. Now I've changed the brad in here because I was waiting for the brads that I'd coloured to dry. So I've put one of my coloured brads on. I'll show you what I've done that with on a different video. And what I've done is I've just followed down each of the lace excuse me, of the petals where it's sewn in the lace. I've just used that as the petals, and just cut a little way down, not all the way down to the brad, but just a little way down like that, just so it separates all the petals. And that's what I've done. I've literally just lifted them up so that I've got the first layer, just to separate them a little bit first, And then, because yesterday, if you remember, I actually blew them to open them up, and I blew everything off my desk. So I thought, I won't do that today. I did it again last night in the room. I was doing something, separating something, and I blew it and made me laugh again. So yeah, so I'm on the bottom layer first. So you just get your tool, and you can either do it over like I'm doing it, depending on how you want them to be, or you can do it under. And all it does is it just helps separate the different layers, and it lifts them. And then just go round, finding the bottom layer first, because if you get the next layer up, I think you'll get two together there. The only problem is it'll split it when you're trying to move it. So that one, I couldn't understand why that wouldn't move. It was because the brad was in the way. So, and you just go round, all the way round each one, and then eventually you will come to the top layer. What I do when I come to the top layer, I just do it that way up, just to give it a bit of, like that. And you can do it as much as you want. I mean, I haven't gone over each layer at the moment, but you can do if you want to. It depends how 3D you want it to stand up. I mean, I'm going to have some of mine on the front of my journal covers, but I might have some inside as well. So I only want them to be separate. I don't really want them to stand up. So you literally just do that all the way around. And then if you've got 2 or 3 stuck together, just separate them down gently so you don't tear them. If the brad's there, just move the brad around, you know, the backing of the brad. If it's in the way, just move it round a bit. Now I've curled 2 at once there, but that's fine. It helps separate them anyway. I think I've done the same there too. Yep. So you just have to go out. It's a little bit faffy, but it doesn't take as long when you're doing it and you've got it right in front of you. I'm just trying to do it on camera so you can see what I'm doing, because it's real dark here tonight. It's been raining and it's become real dark. It's not been pouring, but when we went out for our exercise, we both got wet, didn't we, Oscar? Yes, of course, Oscar's with me. He's here, he's sat here. He's watching me. He's actually asleep. He's had his tea. He's had his exercise. And then he likes to come and watch me craft or lay with me. And this one's proving to be a bit sticky. Can't get it apart. That's it. It's because that brad's in the way again. So I'm just turning the back of the brad round, because they're quite long, those brads, the backs of the brads. And just making sure they separate. And then when you squidge it up a little bit, then you've got all the different layers all separate, and you can decide how high up you want it or how flat you want it, but you can see all the layers, and it does look really effective. And I say that's what I've painted in the middle rather than the silver ones. So I took the silver ones out earlier just to try them. Another one of those that I did, this underneath there is just one of the bought flowers on some cardstock, but it was a bit white and it probably wasn't what I would have used, and the green was a bit lighter than what I'd used. So I've put one of the, just to dull the colour down, I've put one of the just plain vellum pieces over the top, and put one of my brads that I've coloured this one white, and you know, just done that on the underneath, because that's going to stick down. That's going to just make a little bit of a different embellishment from what it had done if I probably wouldn't have used it as it was. Oh, I'm going to leave that one there just because it's hiding the mark from my light. So what else did I do? Oh, I did this one off camera. This was out of this leaf was a book page, and although it isn't really vellum, it doesn't look like vellum, it is sort of see-through. It's made this so much stronger. And then I've put 2 vellum pieces underneath, glued it just down the middle with some Fabri-Tac. I do find Fabri-Tac's the best one, and then that stands up really lovely like that, and I really like that. So you can do it with anything, do it with bits, because you don't have to have your top layer is vellum if you don't want to. You can just use some cardstock and put your vellum underneath. Like this one, I've got some cardstock that I'm going to have on the bottom. I'm going to make this into a paper clip. So a paper clip, listen at me, I'm going to put the paper clip on it, and I'm going to make it into an altered clip. So I'm going to put my vellum on the top, and I'm going to glue down where the paper clip is, like in the middle of the body of the butterfly. So we'll do that now. So I've just put my paper clip on. The reason I've put it on is because I was making sure I'd got quite small, these paper clips. I was making sure I'd got the right size, so it just fits along the body. I've chose which way round. I want the biggest bit at the back to clip onto my page, and then I'm just going to fill the inside of this, because this will keep the paper clip in place. Fill that middle with a bit of Fabri-Tac, and then I'm going to glue my vellum cover over the top that I just loosely cut out round the butterfly. I'm only using 1 layer on this, and then you can see the pattern underneath it. Oh, I'm sticking to the glue like that. And then I want something down the middle. If you remember, I did this one. I've curled those up as well. Look, I've curled those leaves up, and they look quite nice, and it's got the bit of bling down the middle, and that's just got 1 layer, and the coffee dyed piece under there, and that looks quite pretty. Put my little bee in me. I've got a box with them all in, and it's just keeping them out the way. But I now need something down that middle. What I was going to do, I've just realised what I haven't done. I've got some little bits of plastic. They were off like a bit of plastic mesh. I haven't got any out. I just had these little tiny plastic wire strips off it. I cut it, and it just sort of shredded. So I thought, oh, I'm going to use them. I'm going to make them into the antennae of the before I stick the top layer on. So at the moment I've put that between the layers. I'm just making sure I get my vellum straight. You do get a few minutes wriggle room with Fabri-Tac. Yeah, so I'm just going to squeeze that down. So I've got some little, can you see them down here? So I've got to cover that middle up, that body up. Now this is just a little bit of scrapbooking paper that I could put down there if I wanted to. That's one option. Or you just get the ends of strips of paper. I could put that down there. I've got a bit of ribbon that I've found. I'm just going to see, I don't know if this will fray too badly, so I'm just going to try it. So I don't want, it's too thick, so I'm just cutting it down a little bit. And it's got like an embossed pattern on it, this bit of ribbon. I'm just going to see if I can put that down there. If I cut that edge off as well, because it's got like this sewing edge on one side. I don't want one side different to the other. So I'm just going to cut that edge off as well. So I've just got a couple of different ones here to try. So I've got that one, and then I've got this really thin, stuff, like this all organza-y stuff, ribbon, and I've got some black. I'm just going to see if I was to put that on there. Obviously, you'd still see the vellum through it, but I'm just wondering if I put that on there and then put that bling over the top, what does that look like? Quite like that. I'm trying to make myself use a bit of bling, and I thought it's ideal on these, but if I use just this one I don't need the bling, so I'm just going to look and see what I think to that there. I think it does need a bit of bling, or it needs a bit of something else. I'm not quite sure what yet. Let me just cut that down, glue this on, and then we'll see what else we can put down that middle. So this just hides this middle bit, it makes the body, and it just hides anything you've done on there. So just trying to get my glue to come out. Comes out when you don't want it to, and then when you do want it to, it won't come out. Right, I'm getting nearly to the bottom of this glue, so I'm having to keep standing it upside down. Right, is that a big enough piece? Yeah, it is, and then I can cut that to shape. When that dries, I can just cut the top to shape a little bit and the bottom to shape a little bit, but I don't want to do it while it's wet. So I've just put that on there. I've got a tiny bit of bling. Instead of doing the full length, I might just put, oh yeah, I'm going to put that on there, and then obviously when this is dry I'm going to come back and just shape that bit. So I'll put that little bit, put my glue away now. So on this one here, put a little bit of that on just to stick me a little bit of bling on. I've got some other coloured beads somewhere. They're not what I use really, so I don't have them on hand. It was just because I was going through some stuff and found them and thought, oh, I ought to try and use them. Right, I'm just going to try and do this just to, so that's literally all you do with just the vellum layer, and just curl it up. You can either curl it over like I've done like this, or you can curl it upwards, and then you can just bend it however you want. So if you wanted it to go up, you just gently curl it back on itself and do it upwards like that, and then it just stands up, and they do look really pretty, and that's what it looks like at the moment. But I am just going to just curl that a little bit there, and it's got the antennae on it as well, which look really quite cute, and they're just a little tiny bit of plastic. So I'm going to leave that one there. This is oh, that's another one. What's this one? Oh, this is one that I did, it's got the 3 different layers, this one, and that's just how they go, where I've separated them. I've already done this one and separate it, so if it does get flattened and go together, it just then easily comes apart again. Now this one here, it's got one of its little bits, I don't know what this is, of the wing. Oh, I've pulled that off. Oh, that was clever. Oh, that was clever. I'm going to have to do that on a mole now. I'm going to have to cut them off, because that's what I mean, you have to be ever so careful. I was just going to curl that up and I cut it off. I pulled it off, so I've cut them off. They had like a little curly bit there, but it was a bit fragile, so I've cut them all off. So that's that one, and I'm just going to leave that one plain because that didn't show, so I'm not putting anything else on that. I just like the stamped image and then the different faux vellums underneath. I like that one. So this one here, what am I going to do with this one? So this is one of these again, and this one I was just going to put one of the vellum with the letter a bit on the top. I think I'll make this into a clip as well. So I've chose to put the tiniest bit, you know, the small bit on the front, and then on the back's the bigger bit which will clip into your page or wherever you want it. So I'm going to put that on there and get my glue again. And just glue down that middle again where the clip is. That'll hold the clip in place. And then just put your top layer on it, squeeze it down gently, because this is, you know, even though the glue will move a bit, it's not going to go right to the ends of this, so you're still going to have a lot of movement in your wings, which is what I wanted. And I've put that down the middle. Now I did have some of this, it's like a velvety, but it's got like a bit of silver running through it, so I thought I'd try that one on there. I'm going to try and cut this first, just make it sort of rounded so it looks like the head of the butterfly, if I can. It might, I don't know whether what that'll do. So I'm just gonna, oh yeah, it does, it's okay. And then I'm gonna do the bottom again to there, and I'm just gonna shape this bottom, and I just need to put my antennae in again. You don't have to put the antennae in, because, you know, they might get caught when you're pushing it in and out the page, but I just found these little bits. Sometimes I draw them in, sometimes I use a little bit of cotton. I don't always put them in at all. Right, I'm going to put that down there. Before that, as I say, you get a few seconds with, or a few minutes with Fabri-Tac before it's completely, so it gives you a chance to move it. So I've just put those in again, and you can see them at the moment through that. And I don't want to see them, so I'm just going to put this down this middle. And then oh, that's a bit too long. I'm going to put that down there so it looks like the head. And then I'm going to cut that a little bit shorter because I think that's a little bit too long. But I'm just going to shape it a little bit just so it doesn't look as square. Mind I don't cut the wings as I'm that's it. Get that piece straight as I can. So that one there has just got a bit of a pretty sort of black and silver piece of ribbon that I had. I think it come in a card in some in one when I used to subscribe to card kits, which I haven't done for ages. And these are the bits that I had left after I'd made the cards. So that one looks quite pretty. And then these are just some more that I'm going to do. I've got the hummingbird. I think it's a hummingbird. I'm going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I think I might do that as a clip as well. One I did off camera was the dragonfly. So that's just the plain side of the dragonfly. And what I've done with this is I've put the clip on the back, and then I've just put a tiny bit of paper just on the back of the clip, so it's between the tiny bit of paper. So this is just one layer. Now what I could do if I wanted is cut out another just plain piece in the shape of that if I wanted it to have a bit more dimension, but I quite like it as one layer as well, and it's just got that glittery on as well, and I think that looks quite pretty, quite like that. And these are just some more that I've had ready to go. Just what else I was going to show you before I do go. So these are ones I've cut out, and I'm going to do some other bits with these. Is if you've got any tiny bits left of this vellum, because it's so lovely, I don't want to waste it. What I've done oh, that's my other pot. Where's my pot gone? I'll put them both in that one. What I've done is I've got some little bits of vellum, like this one here. Look, is that the plain piece? Let me have a look. I'll use this one. So this is just that faux vellum that was on coffee dyed. And what I'm going to do, there's actually a flower there. I don't know whether I can do it without cutting that off. I'm going to just put it through one of my punches, because you can do it with the smallest of pieces. The only thing I find is if you put vellum through on its own, it gets stuck. So what I do is you can just use white paper, but because I might as well use some paper that I want to make some more butterflies. So I've just put a piece of vellum, and you want the thinnest paper, so this is just thin copy paper each side, so you sandwich your vellum in there, try and get a fairly straight edge, and then put all 3 pages in together. And then when you stamp that out, you don't get your vellum stuck. And there they are. There's the vellum in the middle, and then 2 of this paper. And that's just a way of using up your scraps. So when I come to embellish my journals, I should be putting some of these in there. So I just thought, well, I'll show you that quickly. That's that. And then what I've got, just so that I don't waste any of this vellum, because there now I've got all holes in there, but so I don't waste any of the vellum, I've also got a really tiny little hole punch, and it is a tiny little hole, and these are good for just embellishing on things. If you've got a bit of a mark on something, these are quite good because they cover up a multitude of sins, and it's just a little hole, look, but it's using up the very last bits of vellum. And I'm just going to show you how it would look now. So there's some bits here, look, so I'm just going to use these little dots. And I've just gone all the way there, and that is actually with just the paper on one side. I got carried away there talking, and even just having the paper on one side was enough, and it's used up the vellum. So I'm not wasting much of the vellum now. The other thing I did this paper that I said didn't really turn into vellum, but it's made a lovely strong piece of paper, and I've got some edge in there. So I'm just going to make some butterflies with that as well, because they do feel different. They feel really good. So I'm just going to do some of them. These are just ideal, and it just uses up every last bit then of, and you can even just go back in, get rid of that edge, and get another one. If you're really stingy like me, that is. Now, I don't know whether I'll be able to hold that to get that in. No, I won't. What I normally do, see if I can do it on here, put that piece in the middle of there and hold this. If you've only got a tiny piece like that and you want to use it, fold it over your bits of paper that you can, so you can hold this now. You can hold this now, and you've got that paper in there. You can see where you're going. That's it, and it's cut all 3 together. So that was just a little tip, just all those little bits, just using them all up, those little dots there and those little bits. I've got some more bits here that I'm going to do the same with, just because I don't like waste. So this was just coming back to you today, just to show you. So I've done that one. Move those out of my way a minute. I've done that one. That's really nice. That one that's just curled up, that's been hiding me light. that one there that's slightly different. That's the one I just did off camera. That's another one that I haven't put any, I don't know if I can get that in camera with those as well. That's one I haven't put any bling on. That's the one I did yesterday with the just the plain top layer, but you can actually see going through it. That was the leaf that I did with the vellum underneath. So it's just some nice ideas. That's another one of those flowers. And then of course that's the feather that we did. And then the beautiful, oh, you can see on the back, look where I did the sewing. That's the sewing. And that's the lovely little bumblebee. I should be doing some more of them because I think they're really cute. So that's it for now. But thank you very much for watching. I just wanted to go through that and show you where I'd come to. And look out for some of these, because when I'm finishing these journals off, I'm going to put some of these embellishments either on the front or inside. So bye for now, keep safe, and I'll be back to you soon with another video.